Welcome to Howard's Opinion, the podcast where we dive into the latest and greatest in the world of sports. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you, packed with analysis, debate, and insight into the sporting world. Let's kick things off with some exciting news from the world of college basketball. The Associated Press has announced its National Players of the Week in men's and women's basketball for Week 17 of the season. On the men's side, Arizona's Braden Burries takes top honors after a stellar two-game stretch, averaging 22 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. This is Burries' second time earning AP National Player of the Week honors this season, making him a standout freshman guard to watch. Not to be outdone, Mikey Lewis from St. Mary's had an impressive week as well, with 31 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal in Saturday's win over Gonzaga. This helped the Gales secure a share of the West Coast Conference regular season crown. We'll be keeping an eye on these talented players as the season progresses. On the women's side, Vanderbilt's Michaela Blakes is making waves with her incredible performance, averaging 34.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists in wins over Alabama and Tennessee. She's the first SEC player in 26 years to have scored 30 or more points in a dozen games, an achievement that showcases her skill and dedication to the sport. We'll also be keeping tabs on Olivia Olson from Michigan, who led the Wolverines to victories over Ohio State and Maryland with impressive performances, including a career-high 31 points against the Buckeyes. And let's not forget Marquette's Skylar Forbes, who averaged 21.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks in wins over Providence and Xavier. These athletes are pushing the boundaries of excellence in college basketball, and we can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds for them. We'll be right back with more fascinating sports news on Howard's Opinion. Welcome back to Howard's Opinion. We're diving into the world of women's college basketball, where the stakes are high and the competition is fierce. Let's take a look at some of the teams making waves in the NCAA. The Yukon Huskies are still going strong, but other teams like the UCLA Bruins and South Carolina Gamecocks are giving them a run for their money. In fact, the latest AP Top 25 poll saw some major shakeups, with UNC surging and Alabama exiting the rankings altogether. Meanwhile, Fairfield made its debut in the top 25, proving that there's still room for underdogs to make a splash. But what about the mid-majors? Teams like Gonzaga and Harvard are holding their own, despite being from smaller conferences. And let's not forget about the players themselves. Women like Kiki Rice and Michaela Blakes are making headlines with their impressive skills on the court. As we head into the final stretch of the season, it's anyone's game. Will UConn continue its dominance, or will another team rise to the challenge? One thing's for sure, it's going to be an exciting ride. We're also keeping an eye on the bubble teams like San Diego State and Ball State, who are fighting for a spot in the tournament. And with conference tournaments just around the corner, the stakes are higher than ever. Welcome back to Howard's Opinion, ladies and gentlemen. As we close out today's episode, I'd like to shift our attention to the world of football, where a legendary player is seeking closure with his former team. Von Miller, the future Hall of Fame linebacker, is entering free agency for the second time in his illustrious career, and he has his sights set on a reunion with the Denver Broncos. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would the Broncos want to bring back a 36-year-old linebacker when they already boast one of the NFL's best defenses? And that's a fair question. Miller himself has acknowledged that he didn't leave Denver on his own terms, and he's looking for closure with the team where he spent the first decade of his career. As the First see it, this is a story about more than just football. It's about legacy, loyalty, and the human desire for closure. Miller wants to walk into the stadium one last time, surrounded by the fans who cheered him on during his glory days. He wants to feel like he's saying goodbye on his own terms, rather than being traded away or left to fade into obscurity. But from a football perspective, it's hard to argue that Miller is a good fit for the Broncos. They've already got a talented young core of pass rushers, led by Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper. Miller would likely be relegated to a reserve role, serving as a mentor to the younger players, while still making the occasional impact off the bench. And yet, perhaps that's exactly what Miller is looking for at this stage in his career. Maybe he's not seeking to be a starter or a superstar anymore. Maybe he just wants to contribute to a team he loves and go out on his own terms. As the first always say, tell it like it is. And the truth is, Von Miller's story is one of nostalgia, loyalty, and the complexities of the human experience. Whether or not he ends up back in Denver, I think we can all appreciate the sentiment behind his desire for closure. That's all for today's Howard's Opinion. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, keep your head in the game.